Okay. Audacity is on. Levels
I
are
am
low. Why are levels so
recording.
low? Do you hear me fine?
Sound alerts.
Yeah.
Oh, are my levels low for you? No?
No.
Huh. Nothing changed on my mic. Audacity is just being weird.
That's rude.
I know, right? Oh, is it the wrong? I think it's the wrong device. Ah, yes. Device. No, yeah. Okay, levels check, check, check. Much better. All right, let's get this recording on Zoom. You ready? Okay, that was a nod.
Yeah,
That was a
sorry.
little unclear.
I
All
was-
right. And a quick private hello to the future VOD people. Hi.
It's underscore A
All right,
underscore me
let's do it.
underscore B. Recording in progress.
In the to be respectful of time, I am completely letting go of all the random stuff I was going to talk about today.
You can talk about some of them.
we can hop in because my life isn't going to change in the next week so much that I'm not going to be able to talk about these things for
All
next
right.
recording. So it's totally fine. We got things to do. We got things to talk about.
Who knows how much my life is going to change because the Lakers are in the Western Conference Finals, baby. Game one right now tonight after we record.
Yeah, man. In less than just over 2 hours from now, which puts a real test to
Yeah.
our abilities to try to keep some time going.
I'm wearing my my Lakers jersey that I've had since sixth grade right now.
How? You're such a giant sixth grader.
No, I wore it in the style, back then everything's like way too baggy.
Right down to your
The full
shins.
90s style. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now it fits like
It
a
was a
regular
Scrooge
jersey.
nightgown.
Uh-huh.
Oh man. Okay. Well, what are we doing here? Let's hop in.
Yeah.
What is
Welcome
this?
to Hype is My Superpower podcast. Me, Steve Storman, best buddy Will Freeland, talking about comics. Today we are discussing Destiny of X, presumably volumes 4 and 5. What we stab out into the darkness of Marvel's lack of solicits to assume is the second to last week of our required reading before going on to AXE Judgment Day.
It's the French Destiny of X's, and who knows how accurate those French people are.
Le Destiny du X.
You know what I
Certain
haven't done?
that's
I haven't.
Le
I
Distant.
haven't.
I bet it's Distant is Destiny. That's my guess.
I have.
Or Destine. Yeah, that's probably
Oh, I'll go. I can see Destine. I'm just gonna do a quick check. Does Destiny of X give me anything? Nope. Destiny of X still does not a thing on Amazon, which is the earliest I ever see anything. Like as soon as those like numbers are created, they hit Amazon, even if they stop. Like, was it
Right.
No, not Trials. What was before Trial? Rain? Because like Rain was supposed to go to like 16
Yeah.
and it only went to 12 or whatever.
Right.
And they had 13, 14, 15, and 16. And so
Oh, yeah. Solicited. Yeah.
right. And so if Amazon has it, then like I know Marvel is thinking about it.
Uh huh.
And Amazon does not even have any Destiny of X's yet. Of course, I'm on Amazon US. I'm not on Amazon FR, so
Google Translate says it's Distant de X.
oh, okay, well,
That was
you were
important to me.
you were
for some
close
reason.
enough.
Yeah.
I accept that.
I took, a year and a half of French in college. It's fine.
I
Don't
do
remember anything.
have so okay to your point. So for this episode, I feel so rushed. We read 4 and 5, and
Yeah.
then So next week is going to be 6 and 7, and 7 includes Hellfire Gala 2022, which is Hellfire Gala 2, however you
Right.
want to look at it. I would add, so on Destiny of X, on the list that we're using from Wikipedia, it quote unquote just says Hellfire Gala 2022, Immortal X-Men 4, New Mutants 28, Knights of X number 4, and Legion of X number 3. However,
Okay.
the
Comma.
trade for Hellfire Gala 2022 has a couple extra issues. So it has Secret X-Men number 1, which we already read. It's
Yeah.
got Amazing Spider-Man 2022 number 9, which is the issue that I already read.
Okay.
Avengers X-Men, well, Free Comic Book Day 2022, Avengers X-Men number 1. And it also has X-Men Unlimited Infinity Comic 50 through 55,
Okay.
which I think those are all like quarter issue comics.
Yeah, totally.
But I would throw those
Sure.
in there.
Yeah.
Just anyway, so next week's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a couple issues heavier than 2 volumes. Is the main point.
It's fine. Cool.
It's fine. Okay,
Okay.
should we hop in? Should we
Let's
just
hop
should we-
in.
should we get this going?
Yeah, with Destiny 4, first issue is
Giant
do you
X-Men.
want- Yeah, giant size X-Men Thunderbird.
Thunderbird, which is not in any of the books that I pulled.
Oh no.
I think so. I have a giant size X-Men trade that has all of the giant sizes from Dawn,
Yeah.
but obviously this doesn't have that. So I had to buy this book. So I have that on my tablet. But yeah, so Thunderbird and then
Yeah.
X-Men 11, X-Force 28, Marauders 3, Knights of X 2, Wolverine 21.
Yeah. So giant size Thunderbird follows John Proudstar, recently resurrected, the deceased member of the all new, all different X-Men who died on their first mission after Krakoa. And just sort of like a real blast from the past, reconnecting with his family story. Co-written by Nyla Rose, who is a trans professional wrestler and actor, trans woman. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I didn't realize that John was Xavier's first death
Oh, yeah.
under his watch.
Well, I guess only if you don't count the Deadly, Genesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And also if you don't count Changeling, who wasn't really who wasn't a student. He just kind of showed up one day and he was like, "Hey, Xavier, can I help you do this thing?"
Right.
Yeah. And pretend to be you for a couple weeks while you go turn a bunch of aliens into hippies. According to my headcanon. But it was the first besides those. Yes.
Right.
And one
Yeah,
was a
'cause-
retcon and the other wasn't a student. So yes.
right. Yeah. Retcons being retcons. This is the second time I've ever had a comic with with Thunderbird in it.
Oh yeah.
Because he
has
was in
been-
like Necrosha X-Men or whatever.
Yep.
But other than that,
I mean, again, aside from flashback and like not really resurrected appearances, he's been straight dead since 1975.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
he
for
was
like 50
only
years.
in 3 issues before he died.
damn. Well, so that's so weird because I'm like, okay, if you're gonna kill someone off in 3 issues, sure, but then you're like, no, we want a Native American. Let's just get his brother, add him to the
Well,
team.
Okay, so two things. One, the team was too big, and they basically took. He's like, oh, they're like this guy's powers are too similar to Wolverine, who people like more. So,
Mm,
he's the easy cut. And then they didn't introduce James as a character for maybe like 6-7 years after.
okay.
Power
Um,
Dreamer.
yeah,
Got it. Got
and
it.
and when they first introduced James, he was a member of the Hellions and antagonist
Right.
to the New Mutants.
Yeah.
But all that aside, he rolls back up to I guess it can't be Camp Verde because everyone was killed, but basically the town where his grandma may still live, and finds out that somebody has sold their DNA uh, on their behalf, or the DNA of mutants in their community,
Right.
to um, what turns out to be a real deep cut, Edwin Martinek. Now, this guy, don't know if you remember him from the pod, but I covered him a couple months ago. Remember the flashback issues?
The like zeros,
Yeah, the -1
negative
issues of
ones. Yeah.
yeah. The one of X-Force was John Proudstar. So Thunderbird, this is one of his flashback appearances. Um, Going after this guy Martinek, who was also privatizing the genes of and again, this is one issue, just like because you're really, really scraping through it to find any sort of like backstory for John Proudstar.
Hmm.
Um, and foiled the plan. Guy turned himself into a werewolf, and that's why he's all a werewolf coyote thing here. But yeah, deep cut. I am
You here
embarrassed
for it?
that I got it. uh, and he's contracted by some mystery figure at Orcus, whose face we don't ever see, but kind of a new appearance in terms of like arms. So that's interesting. Um, and they kind of go through the uh, from that whole flashback issue. There's a mutant called Revelation who had a death aura, or maybe this was Martinek's next appearance in X Force, when James came back and there was a whole plot with a journalist. Go listen to our previous comic.
Insert episode
Yeah,
number here.
Will doesn't remember it. I don't remember it. But if you do your due
But it
diligence,
technically happened.
you will remember this better than us. Um, and they're using this mutant's death aura as an encryption device for files, where if you read it without the correct password, you die. So that's something. That was interesting use of mutant powers.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, he saves the town, meets his grandma, who is an entertaining badass, and he's full of existential questions. I didn't die correctly according to my tribe and our
Mm.
ancestral beliefs, and like I didn't come back correctly. Who am I? I'm more well known for being dead than alive, etc. um, he has a new costume, which seems cool, and I'm stoked for more John Proudstar. Do you have any other takeaways from this?
His new costume is very bright.
Yeah.
But like just from his request to Carnation, to Jumbo Carnation, I guess that's his people's colors and that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
it's
It's
much.
just it's rare that you get a costume that's like has this like almost neon blue, this bright blue. Usually, a lot of whenever there's like a new variant of someone's costume, it's usually like darker colors or
Mm,
like the bright color is a highlight, like on Quentin Quire or something.
totally. And
But I
he's
like it.
yeah, and they're saying that this is, significant for his yeah, like colors represent things in his people's spirituality, and that this is less of like a theme park um stereotype version, like his old
Right.
costume, which was
Yeah.
truly horrendous.
Right. A product of the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see more John, cuz like it's weird having a legacy character that I know nothing about. So,
Yeah.
I'm interested, and I guess the world knows nothing about either. So like how do you flesh out a character that's conceptually been around for decades but has to find their place in
Right.
the story? That's gonna
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. I hope it goes well.
And it's a great opportunity it's one of the unique things that you can do with a setup like Krakoa, when
Right.
you have this pure straight through path from being dead to being alive. You can play with things like this. So cool.
Just looking at the last couple pages, and I see then he sets up a Krakoa gate. This is a really awkward segue to my current headcanon running theory about Kate and why she's blocked by the gates, as
Oh
opposed
yeah,
to
please.
as opposed to just walking through the gates like a
Yeah, so
human.
what's your take here?
I think it's because she disrupts technology when she phases. And since all of
Oh,
Krakoa has this techno-organic
techno organics.
stuff,
Interesting. This is your theory on why Kate is late? Or Kate can't use the gates. She's always late.
yeah.
This theory is going. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Because like I wonder if it's like Krakoa and Warlock just being like, I don't want to chance it.
It could just be fate.
Yeah. I'm having a real tough time coming up with 8 words. But like, because I don't think we've seen her even just go through like Arbor Magna or like
No.
any thing.
Do you see any way that this problem for her could abate?
I guess we'll just have to wait.
Yeah, I guess so.
I hate this.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
I
Um,
I I I, I have the advantage of time here, because you texted me yesterday and you're like, I have a theory about Kate and the Gates. So it's like, oh, here we go.
about Kate and Gates. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, because it's one of those things where if that is what it is the actual issue, it's going to be told in a like aha, and I'm going to be like, damn it, why didn't I think of that?
Uh-huh. No,
Just like with like deleting Cerebro files and all this other stuff. It's like
it's a sound theory. I'm sated.
because like I can't think of any other mutants who. Are there even any other phasing mutants?
Shinobi Shaw.
Oh, okay. Damn.
They haven't established that he disrupts technology, which I don't know why the physics of that would be any different. But,
Well, until she and Reed Richards get to the bottom of this, that's going to be my headcanon.
okay, sounds good.
I'm so interested. Dude, that plot line. I feel like they're not going to dive into it. And it's going to be one of the like kickoffs for Fall of X, I think.
Oh, I could see that. And in the meantime, she has to find other methods of transportation, like we're seeing in Marauders with the spaceships, or she could go back to the early days of her costumes with the X-Men and skate.
I was waiting for it, and I didn't know where this was going. I was like, what 8 transportate? Ah.
Hey, just box her up and ship her in a crate.
Stupid. So stupid. I'm moving on. We're going to X11. X-Men 11. We got. Okay, so we have Game World. The X-Men taking the fight to Game World.
Yes, yes.
And we find out literally in the first like 2 pages.
Game World being the casino planet that has been taking bets on the destruction of Earth since it's been sort of like one of the main plots, along with the Ben Urich and discovery of mutant resurrection and the whole Fei Long. These have been like the three main plot. The guy who colonized Phobos. These have been the three main plots of this X-Men title since it started. So yeah, they took the fight to Game World.
And God, this issue read so fast for me.
Yeah.
Like
this,
I flipped
title
back and I was
usually
like,
does.
was this only like 18 pages? Because
Uh-huh.
this went so fast. But we find out in the first couple pages that Game World is a subsidiary or whatever of Mojo World.
Yeah. Could you say that last sentence again? It just I had audio trouble, so I don't know if it's going to be weird.
No,
for the
yeah.
recording too.
Within the first like 2 pages, we find out that Game World is a subsidiary or whatever, or an offshoot of Mojo World in the Mojoverse.
Yeah, totally.
Fucking
Fucking Mojo.
Mojo. But like, it's kind of one of those things where I wonder if when they did the first issue, somebody in the editor's room was like, "Isn't this just Mojoverse?" And they're like, wait. I hear you.
Yeah.
Let me Oh man. So the women of X-Men, of the X-Men team, or most of the women, Polaris, Jean, Rogue, and Laura Kinney, X-23 Wolverine, make their way to Game World, donning their Hellfire Gala outfits.
Yes. Meanwhile, the men, or actually just Gambit, along with Rocket Raccoon, are inveterate gamblers, and they are trying to short Game World.
Yeah, which is so cool.
There's also a conversation in there about like, we're taking. So it was Mojo's, then Cordyceps Jones took over, and I was like, oh, is all of this plot really necessary? Like, do we really need to know like what Game World is and what the backstory came to be and all this? And then somebody delivers a line that's like, so they're all taking bets on, like the destruction of entire planets. Like, this is just like climate capitalism's final form. And I was like, fuck, they landed it.
There it is. There it is.
I'm embarrassed of myself that I didn't see it. Good job. Well played.
I feel like every episode there is something in the plot of an X title that one of us is just like, fuck.
I'm sorry to all of our listeners that I needed the metaphor to be that spelled out for me. I should have been on it. I should have known. I apologize personally to each and every one of you.
Oh man. There's also a B or a C plot line of Captain Krakoa and Sync
Yes.
tracking down basically Cyclops' killer, I guess.
Right.
And
Who is Dr. Stasis, the sort of head, one of the heads of one of the petals of Orcus. Human / resources, not human resources. Ominous. It's fine.
So anyway,
jump all over it.
So Captain Krakoa, who is Cyclops, by the way,
Yeah.
had sync Wolverine's tracking powers, yada yada, and so Sync is like, oh, the scent kind of goes in two directions here. I think we want to go left, and Cyclops is like, cool, I'm going right. And so they go their separate ways, and Sync snicks and um and freaking just this line of just of because he comes across the main animal man thing that Dr. Stasis uses, and it's like, oh, you were pretending to be a Wolverine. You really think you can take me on? And then Sync just being like, bro, I've been Wolverine longer than anyone alive. And you're just like, oh my God. It's so
Getting
true.
hardcore.
Wolverine is only like 300 years old. Meanwhile, Sync is over
He's like-
here at like 5:30. Oh man, I love it. It's so great. Anyway, and then poor
Anyway.
Laura didn't get to survive the 80 years, so she's only like 25 years old.
Right.
Sync is so cool. Oh man.
My only notes. I want to do two quick notes from the game world plot before I let you close on
Sure.
the just that Lorna buys a new dress, presumably for the upcoming Hellfire Gala 2, and Jean sees all these people, just like planning the destruction of entire planets, and of course, is a callback to what the Phoenix did wearing her face, and that she has the memories of, and it has basically responsibility for, and she says never again. So it's personal for her, and that's a cool connection to her backstory.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, okay. So the game world thing. So Cordyceps Jones is basically like a giant fungus man thing. And so he can use spores to, control other people. He used it on Laura. But so Laura got caught. But then the captions for when she got caught was, it's hard to come across as stealthy, but loud enough to be caught.
Yeah, so it's clearly this X-Men team has been so fucking competent.
Yeah.
Just in all of these extinction level events, they've just been like on their shit. This seems part of their larger plan, which we haven't seen the payoff for yet.
Right. I'm very interested. So yeah, because it ends with like they caught Jean, but like was that the plan? But we don't know.
Right, what does that mean?
Because we have to go to this Dr. Stasis thing. And so Cyclops in the sewers goes the other way, and he comes across Dr. Stasis, and Dr. Stasis is like, I know who you are, Captain Krakoa. Just drop the facade. And he's like, fine. And then they have a hand-to-hand fight. Dr. Stasis has his little monologue while they fight. Goes for the sword drop on Cyclops' face, and Cyclops fucking ninja catches it, and he's like, oh please, and then he optic blasts him point blank range, and Dr. Stasis' mask, his helmet that he's been wearing,
we've only ever seen him in, and it's completely opaque. It's like a real Daft Punk sort of like
it's super straight out of Daft Punk. His helmet breaks, and Cyclops is just like, you, and then you get the last page, and it's like, I'm sorry, have we met? And it shows the person's face, and it's Sinister's face, but instead of a diamond on his forehead, it's a club.
Yeah.
And it's like what does that mean? We oh my God. I don't want to speak out of turn,
Right.
but I think we've never seen
No.
another suit on his forehead before.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Because there have been other characters, men and women, who have been super shady, and then all of a sudden they get the red diamond, and you're like, oh shit, it's
Yeah,
Sinister.
Right. And he
Because
can clone
typically,
into
like,
any mutant body right now. So
yeah, because like typically the diamond, well, there was a time where the diamond was what had his like genetic makeup, and
mm,
so if you stuck the diamond on someone's forehead, it could overwrite that person, and they could become a Sinister. I've never seen a club. I don't know what's
don't
happening.
know what it means.
I don't
We're
know
gonna
what it
have to
means.
find out.
But we now have and yeah, and so like the look on his face is like, haha. But for
Right.
him to say, "Have we met? How long ago did this clone get created?" I don't. A long
Right.
time ago, because I mean, the Summers kids, Alex and Scott were at the Essex orphanage, so
Right.
like it would have had to have been a long time ago, or
Yeah.
he's just being cheeky. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Crazy.
Fucking wild, dude. Fucking wild.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Just all of these. Okay. X Force 28.
Yeah. X Force 28.
14. Oh
Mm,
man. Yeah. Oh god. So 27 ended with that Cerebro helmet that grew
right.
tentacles, and just ate Forge's head.
Right. And we're like, what's going on with this? Is it a Cerebro thing? Is it some sort of like contamination from the Omega Red plot from X Lives, X Deaths? It is a
Sure.
Cerebro unit that gains sentience. It's calling itself Cerebrax, which fine.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was a really inorganic way to get there, but yeah, stupid. Cerebro X Force, Cerebro X Force, Cerebrux, Cereberac, Cerebrax. You're like, okay,
It's real
all
dumb.
right,
Yeah.
buddy. Oh man. Okay, so, um,
Again, this is not the first evil sentient Cerebro, but that's fine.
this one creates a little like red hologram of Forge, and basically talks to the mind of Forge that it ate. And it's like, you ate me. And it's just like, I did. I want knowledge. And Forge is like, I want to build things. And then Cerebrax is like, cool. I want knowledge and build things. And then Forge is like, theoretically, if you eat enough mutants, you'll become a mutant yourself. And Cerebrax is like, I like that. Let's roll with that. Let's see what happens.
Weird.
We have much to eat, much to learn.
Yeah,
You know,
it's already chomped, Polaris and a few, if Havoc.
is that who that was?
Yeah, that was
The second
Polaris.
one?
Yeah,
Because
it gets the magnetism powers and bends Wolverine. It
I thought it
bends
was
his
more of a
bones.
reality bend thing. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
I don't know, so I'm
yeah,
fine with that. Because yeah, in its little like, there's two times where we see it like eating people. We see him eat Havoc first, and then somebody with a green accented
yeah.
uniform, which I assumed was Polaris, but Polaris is on Game World, and so but
Right, the
timing
logistics of it.
timing on these issues I think is
Yeah,
not
they've kind of
wildly accurate, especially back to back like this.
right.
And then in its lair, you see that it's eaten basically 7 mutants.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Havoc. And this is much more obviously Polaris, but I was like, is there anyone else who's green that wears a green costume that it could have been? Because I don't know who any of these other ones are.
Yeah, you don't see. I mean, their heads are chomped off.
There are
for one thing.
no heads, and it's far enough away that you don't have to be super detailed on the costumes
Right.
to know who they are. Because like there was a time when Quicksilver wore that same purple and pink costume.
Mm.
The last time he was on Avengers, and his symbol on his chest was a fast forward button with 3 triangles instead of 2. It was not a good costume.
It's kind of cute.
Fast forward. Anyway,
Faster forward.
but yeah, I can't tell who it ate.
Yeah, it's fine. They'll tell us.
It's not a big deal. Yeah.
I'm just not super invested in the mysteries of this title, so I'm like, when it's important, they'll tell us.
So with that said, the it makes me very appreciative of characters like Quentin Quire who are actively challenging the laws
Yes.
and rules of Krakoa, especially specifically the resurrection protocols.
Right. At least so we can see what the edges of the thing are, and so we get a better understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, and so
And Quentin is convinced enough of his own awesomeness that he would be the one to you know make exceptions for himself. Test. He's a real. He's in the words of Dave Chappelle, a habitual line stepper.
yeah, and so he's having the 5 just build some different mutant husks for him.
Yes.
So basically
New
go through the
bodies,
resurrection
yeah.
process, but without the cerebral backup.
Yeah. And then he can psychically, basically inhabit them. And just with different bodies to try out different power sets and stuff. And so there's like a Juggernaut is the one that gets the most time here, but there's a few others.
Yeah, he does Colossus, Domino, Wolverine, Beast, and Emma. Which is
That's a little not quite Freudian, but like
Oedipal,
your
almost.
girlfriend, yeah,
Yeah, your
ex-girlfriend's
ex-girlfriend's
mom.
clone mom.
And clone mom, yeah, not just regular mom.
Yeah, I would think that he'd be happy with a Colossus,
Right?
because that's his like downfall is his meatiness. He's a meatbag.
Just referring to how many times he's been killed in this title.
Yeah, I don't like. Man, they gloss over deaths so often, but like
Yeah.
I feel like Quentin is up there in number of deaths since Krakoa Day 1.
He's got to be number 1.
Probably.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I question it is because all of the missions to Orcus
Right, exactly.
that Quentin's not on.
He has been on a lot of them, though. I guess there were X-Force missions, and then there were like Mystique solo missions.
But there was also like the Cyclops and Jean missions,
Right. Yeah.
like the X-Men, the classic
Right.
X-Men missions, leading them to believe that Orcus through through note taking have realized that they have resurrection protocols.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing. I love Data. Okay. The only other interesting takeaway here is Sage and Omega Red. Just Sage dealing with the fact that her brain is a computer and she's still human and has emotions, and that can be overwhelming when you're continually receiving a flood
Right.
of data consistently.
She drops a line in there, like admitting regretfully, woefully, that she hooked up with somebody in particular.
Yeah.
I want to know who that is. I want to know
Yeah.
who Sage's regrettable sex is, because that is hilarious.
I slept with, well, never mind.
I'm not. Yeah.
Also, who's Gorgeous George?
He is from the Nasty Boys. He was in the he was probably best known from the TV show, the cartoon. He was the
Mm.
one of Sinister's henchmen. He was the purple guy with the real like gooey body.
Oh. Oh, should beat the fuck out of him. Nice.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so
And
yeah, she talks
then
about how she drinks till she blacks out and then
yeah,
starts over the next day.
yeah, which we've seen a little bit of previously, and this is, this writer here on X-Force has this incredibly subtle technique of just like introducing plot threads, like, and then completely abandoning them and then bringing them up once like the issue before they're going to be relevant again. So
Mhm.
I'll expect to see this pay off soon. Um, and the only other thing is that the Cerebro unit is making a beeline for Black Tom, which is terrifying, given
Absolutely.
the immense importance he has on Krakoa as just sort of like the monitoring system for the veg, as he likes to call it, the actual
Yeah.
like physical flora, fauna, and makeup of Krakoa.
Which kind of raises the question of like, will X Force be able to take down a Black Tom Krakoa level threat? And if they can, is Krakoa going to be scared of X Force?
These are all questions.
I feel like that's a little more meta than I think X Force is going to go.
Yeah.
But the resolution of this, if Cerebrax gets to Black Tom, because that's the cliffhanger for this issue.
Right. Right.
If it gets to Black Tom, I wonder if this will just be like a reference point for a Krakoa focused plot thread down the line.
Right.
Who knows?
Who knows? Moving on.
Let's move on to
Marauders number 3.
Marauders 3, Extinction Agenda Part 3. Okay.
So
Okay.
just we didn't mention it in the last time, in the last pod when we covered Marauders, but so this precog who is revealed to be part of the Kin Crimson, right? The secret order within the Shi'ar Empire that holds and protects secrets.
Delphos.
Blah 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 blah. Delphos was a big part of the plot in Secret X-Men, which we read on a previous episode of the pod, where they basically distanced Xandra both from an X-Men team and from Deathbird, crucially, and abducted her with help of the Sidri and dropped her on the other side of the galaxy.
Yeah.
and now she's like left alone to fight them by herself.
And she is surviving.
Yep.
Borderline thriving.
Right.
Which is funny because from my perspective, most of my exposure to Deathbird has been the cartoon.
I don't remember her from the cartoon.
Or something. Because it's not comics. She's never around in the last 20 years of comics. She's around a couple of times. But like,
Yeah.
she's always been, for lack of a better phrase, the throwaway villain.
Yeah.
She can't hold her own. Like, she gets beat all the time because she's
Right.
like the villain of the week.
Right.
But she's always shown as the like the reason why something happened, and so then you got to
Uh-huh.
fight her, but then she loses in the next like 2 minutes, and so like
And then the real like danger of the arc is revealed through that. Yeah.
yeah, and so like I have this skewed, poorly educated vision of Deathbird as not a threat.
Right.
But she's stranded on this planet killing everything. I'm like, okay, cool. Go Deathbird. Ooh. Cassandra Nova does more of her Black Bug Room stuff
Yeah.
that she
Oh,
did in Astonishing and in New X-Men, and that was cool.
yeah. It is also interesting to know because I didn't put it together, but Deathbird and Cassandra are both Xandra's aunts.
Right. Yeah.
just a just a real random, pairing of commonality for these extremely different characters.
And very versatile killers.
Yes.
Oh man.
and
Yeah.
and they really do a good job. I'm I have to say I'm not enjoying this volume of Marauders as much as I liked the last one, but they're
Yeah.
doing a very good job of making Cassandra Nova terrifying as fuck and just like truly fucked up and creepy.
Yeah. She's the new insane bad.
Right. Yeah. Just gleefully evil.
Yes. Yes. You don't get that very often.
Yeah.
Those who just have a great time being just complete manslaughterers.
Right.
Um 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 so we get a little more we get a little more insight, or I guess more exploration of the 10 shames
Well, we
of the
learn
Shi'ar.
what the wet skin is because Cassandra Nova just destroy, yeah, like you were saying with the bug room, takes the dragon Kin Crimson into the bug room, tears it apart psychically, and then through that is like, oh, I found out what the wet skin is. It is a lobotomized symbiote who has been trained to become your blood.
Wild. Absolutely wild. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, anyway, so the wet skin
Pretty
is
hardcore.
a symbiote.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. And this is arguably not the first time we've seen a symbiote be blood. It's what
Oh,
when you get a full bonding like what Carnage and Cletus Cassidy had, it becomes your blood. Anyway,
weird.
so conceptually that's not the first time, but a completely
Lobotomized, if you
lobotomized
will.
symbiote.
Yeah.
We've seen them sedated. That's what Agent
Sure.
Venom was, but
Mm.
completely just basically killed
Yeah.
and brain dead is a whole new thing, which is how
Yeah.
you. Oh my gosh. Oh. Which is how you break the null like connection and just like be able to use something like a symbiote post King and Black stuff. Just works.
Yeah. I have not read any of the symbiote mythology, so I will appreciate your freaking out about it, but I'm pretty much at the same spot that you would be when I start talking about shit like Edwin Martinek.
Right.
It's like, okay, cool.
Right. It's just one of those things where it's just like, man, like
Uh-huh.
wet skin. Oh, duh. Like you look at Eddie Brock doing his Venom stuff, and it's
Like,
it's
that's
wet
some
skin.
real wet skin right
That
there.
checks
Yeah.
out. Ugh. Ah. And then so there's a text entry detailing Talon A the Red and diving into this history between the Shi'ar and the Raptors.
Yeah, which is Dark Hawk, right?
Darkhawk is a raptor, yeah.
Yeah.
And so because they they both have like avian space characteristics, and
Right. Yeah.
they even address it in that article of just like, you'd think we'd be similar or cousins, but we have very different beliefs, and they had to go.
And a lot of this Raptor, Order of the Raptor stuff, I think that was introduced in um, whatever Annihilation uh, storyline had Dark Hawk. I
The
don't think
expansion
that
of
was
the background,
the,
yeah.
yeah, I don't think that was part of his backstory before that. But anyway,
Yeah, he was for those
he was
who
a
are
new
listening or watching.
warrior. It was
New Warrior. He was
whatever.
kind of like Beetle. He was kind of like Blue Beetle from
Uh,
DC. Like regular Joe, his name's Chris, I think,
yeah,
finds
has
finds an artifact. It attaches to him. He turns into a superhero. Like
right.
that was his thing. And then there was like when he's wearing it, he gets these dark impulses like Venom, and like that
Sure.
was kind of his thing. And then he also found out down the line, come Annihilation, they expanded that to he's from the Order of Raptors. Well, he found something that was from the Order of Raptors. When you transform into Darkhawk, it it transposes your body from physical form into their like world mind tree thing,
Right. The
where
data song.
the data song. And so your physical body, when you're in Darkhawk mode, you can go all out because there's not
Right.
going to be any toll on your body.
Right.
And the more in tune to the data song you are, the more offensive capabilities your Darkhawk suit will have,
Right.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so there's only so
So they're
many
just fully
raptors.
incorporating this into
Yeah,
Shi'ar mythology
yeah.
as well. Kind of
And
cool.
that was the other thing is like in Annihilation, and since then, I don't know if there was any mention
No, of
of
course not.
Shi'ar rivalry. There may have been, I don't know, but like,
Yeah.
like stuff with like, the original scroll homeworld being devoured by Galactus. Like,
Right.
has that always been a thing? Is it now a thing? I don't know. Yeah, so just fun, just factoring in other intergalactic stuffs
Totally.
is awesome. Anyway, uh Cassandra Nova's a badass, and then it ends
And
with
oh, just the meanwhile for almost the entire um issue, the X-Men, or the Marauders, the last issue ended up on this sort of like cliffhanger where they are um their spaceship is blown off. They are floating in outer space. They go into Somnus's like dreamscape to formulate a plan, and they're like combining tempos, time slowing ability with Somnus's like dream world, with Aurora's super speed, with uh to just like formulate a plan. They're like, all right, we're coming on a plan. We got the best plan, and Aurora's like, we're going through a million plans in a second. We're gonna get the best one, and then they're pulled up by a tractor beam into the Shi'ar ship, um, with Xandra in it, and they're caught immediately. They're like, oh, I guess that part of the plan is busted. It's like you just had like an issue and a half of buildup of like, okay, we're making a plan. Oh, it's going to be a really good plan. Meanwhile, Cassandra Nova is just absolutely wrecking face. They're like, it's only been 7 seconds, and she's just like destroyed Eric the Red and the dragon he rode in on. And 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 then they're like, all right, time for our plan. Fuck, we got caught.
Yeah, yeah. It's a new team. They're figuring themselves out.
It's I mean, if that's the way you want to play it, then play it like that. But don't put all of this build up into like, all right, we got the most incredible plan in the world. Ah, shit.
I think it was either that or have them be passed out.
Right.
Because you want to spend time diving into Kin Crimson and letting Cassandra Nova like this is her first time back in like 20 years, so like make her be a badass. But
I get
yeah,
the plot necessity of it. It's just weird pacing.
yeah, yeah. I hear you.
And then at the end of it, Xandra's like, all right, and basically turns on Delphos and is like, no, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. The X-Men, the mutants, they're still my friends.
Yes, and yeah, yeah. Sandra's just like we're gonna go find out what the. Well, I'm gonna show you guys what the first shame or whatever is.
Right.
Meanwhile, Delphos is like, well, I guess we gotta deal with Xandra, and Xandra's like, no, and she gets all psychic-y on her,
Yeah.
and then puts her down, has her get locked up, and they hop in a ship. So they being Xandra and the Marauders and a couple of Xandra's like men to pilot the ship, go, and they're going to the Crag,
Yeah.
which is the Shi'ar's like most
Crag with a
famous
K.
giant prison.
Man, they've had a lot of space prisons. Just
Yeah. They
like
okay,
they
so they have a prison that is I think it's 5 galaxies wide.
yeah.
That's where that's where the Star Brand was born.
Yeah, they also had a prison in um X-Man right before the little mini arc in between the 12 and Warren Ellis's takeover. He was just like randomly on that Shi'ar prison for no good goddamn reason. And then they also had another one in Warren Ellis's Starjammers miniseries. They've got a lot of fucking prisons.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We could get into
It's some real USA shit here.
I was yeah, I was gonna talk something about like when you're a multi-star system wide
Yeah, when you
empire.
are the hegemonic empire of, your political space, you tend to round up lots of prisoners.
Right. It happens. So you need to just, dedicate a couple of galaxies to a prison.
Jesus
It's fine.
Christ.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get to the Crag with a K, because that's where the like documents detailing the first shame are. And they get there, and the Shi'ar guards are like, "Welcome, Xandra. You're amazing. Please die." And
Right.
and the cliffhanger is her getting shot by a beam, and everyone being like, and then it ends.
Right.
And if you were reading this in real time, you would have to wait a month to find out what happens next.
Right.
We have to wait a few days.
Right. Moving along. Knights of X number 2.
Let's keep it going. Yeah, Knights
Yeah.
number 2.
So in my experience in my very limited experience in writing comics, you write an issue 1 of a mini series, of a short series, you want to prove the concept. You want to, like grab readers quickly and kind of just like make a big splash. And then issue 2 is where you kind of take a step back and introduce and develop some of the concepts that are gonna be going through the broader, the series as a whole. I feel like that's really all that happened here. We're just, this was a real step back and take stock issue. um Mad Jim gets captured, and uh his powers taken away by cuffs of the blight, whatever,
Blight
um
spoke, I think. Right?
blight spoke, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
um and we learned that Mordred's mutant powers is to piss people off.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Is it to agitate
I
or
think
something?
so.
I can't,
um
yeah.
Gambit is sneaking Pop Tarts into the uh persecuted and occupied people of Otherworld, and there's been a coup in Blightspoke, and they are mining that sort of like uh power stealing fluid or what have you.
Yeah.
um
Man,
a-
things are weird in
Anything
Otherworld.
else that Otherworld is a strange place. Do you have anything else from that issue?
I mean, no. The team is split up right now.
Yes.
Shatterstar, Richter, Mordred, and Betsy are going to Sevalith. Well, they've been on like this like stealth mission all issue. You don't see a
Right.
whole lot of movement from them, and then you find out at the end of the last page is that they're in Sevalith and they're being watched
Right.
by vampires. The rest of the team, Megan, Gambit, Bay, and this new guy that I keep on forgetting his name,
Kylan.
Kylan. They're trying to rescue Mad Jim Jaspers because he's going to get executed publicly in the Crooked Market,
Right.
and it's just a mad dash. It's the beginnings of a rescue mission split into a stealth mission
Yep.
issue.
Yep.
Not a whole
With-
lot to write
with-
home about.
With Pop Tarts.
With Pop Tarts,
Um,
do you want to just keep going? Should we
I
just go
have
to
nothing
Wolverine?
else for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Wolverine 21.
Wolverine 21. I didn't mention it in the last. So this is continuing on with the plot from the last issue of Wolverine, where it's Deadpool is sort of like taking over the book, and they're doing a team up to recover something that was on auction that was believed to be Wolverine's hand from earlier in the series, and turns out to have something to do with Danger, aka the literal actual Danger.
The AI that lived in the Danger Room post Shi'ar upgrade.
Yes. And every one of these issues begins with this sort of like circular panel work that kind of like is demonstrating Deadpool's influence. It kind of looks like a Deadpool logo.
In case no one's
And-
watching.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. That's all. I like making a little motif out of the panels and the
It
panel
is.
shapes.
I imagine it's fun to have been writing a Wolverine comic and then writing a takeover comic
Yeah.
where like you get to write Deadpool. Like
Yes.
I feel like Deadpool is such a fun character that I would
Totally.
assume it would be fun to have him as a side character in your book because you can be self-referential and stuff.
Right, right, right.
So that was fun. Yeah. So plot wise, Deadpool had a meetup with a handful of people from his past, i.e., Weasel, who is no longer dead.
Yeah, that's it's a real shifting goalpost there.
I, I actually, I remember that issue when he came back from hell. He made a deal with Mephisto to deal with Deadpool somehow. But basically, Deadpool took his daughter to a theme park, and a literal hole to hell opened up in the middle of the theme park, and Weasel came out. He was like, I'm here to F with you, Deadpool. And he's like, I'm trying to show my girl a good time. Like, why are you here? And like Weasel tries to deal with him, and Deadpool just Deadpools, and Weasel
Yeah.
leaves. And then so now we have Weasel back to his arms dealer days, and Deadpool's like, hey, water under the bridge, give me some stuff. Blind Owl gets a reference here.
Yeah, good old Blind Owl. And they do the they call out the cliche of Blind Owl had a bad cough last time we saw her. That
I
means she's
know.
definitely, horrendously sick. And I pointed that bad cough out. And I was like, that usually means somebody's really sick. Good
Yeah,
on
I love
them
that.
for
Self-referential Deadpool.
yes,
Good guy.
totally. I they were describing the Wolverine hand that was recovered as, like the veins are made of wires and that there's
Yeah.
oil instead of blood and blah 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 blah.
It's
And
basically
it's not
an
adamantium, it's
LMD.
steel. For a brief second, I was hoping it was Albert. I like Albert. I thought Albert was really dumb when I first heard of Albert, and then I read the issues where he was first introduced, and I was like, oh no, this is a lot of fun. Albert and LCD. Is Larry Hama, who we've talked about plenty on this show in the past, but Larry Hama at his best, where he's just like, I don't know, this is fun, fuck it, let's just tell a crazy story. There's a little kid robot who is a bomb, and a robot clone of Wolverine who's named after Albert Einstein because he's a fucking super genius. Cool. We've got characters here. Let's play with them, and they were really fun whenever they showed up.
Yeah, that would have been a cool deep cut.
Yeah.
So Deadpool, in his eternal desire to get invited back onto X-Force, is trying to help Wolverine. Wolverine doesn't want his help which I feel is strictly just for the story.
It's for the story, yeah.
Because Wolverine is as much of a team player as literally anyone else out there.
Totally, yes.
He's been on every team.
Simultaneously.
For him to not want help from somebody is uncharacteristic, and just because you want to write a stubborn Logan instead of a 300-year-old man who understands what it means to have help. To have allies. Anyway, so it ends with Deadpool getting his upgraded teleportation belt from Weasel, and then Weasel weasels, and when Deadpool teleports him and Wolverine away, it goes to an adamantium cage, because adamantium you can buy on the black market. And turns out Weasel double crossed him because he's working with Maverick, and classic characters being classic characters. And so it was all for this briefcase that was supposed to have Wolverine's hand in it. Turns out it doesn't, and it has this this is like the last page thing, and it looks like a Danger Cerebro.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like a danger. Like it almost looks. When I first saw it, kind of looked like a VR set because it's got
Yeah.
like hands and a headset and like feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It
But
looked. It. Yeah.
we're quickly gonna learn that it's a little disassembled chibi danger.
Right. It kind of looks like it would form like the little figure thing that we used
For
for
tracking
saying
whose
whose
turn it
turn it
is when
is
we're playing
in
Magic.
Magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's gonna be about like that size. Or at least those dimensions. Proportions is what I'm really thinking of.
Yeah. Anything else from Wolverine 21?
I don't think
I got
so.
nothing, man. Just one.
Yeah. Wolverine and Knights of X are kind of the soft hits
Yeah.
in between the big hits of the other issues.
Yeah. Um
Because that
well
concludes.
and X-Force and Marauders. I'm
I'm having a good time with Marauders.
okay, that's good.
But yeah, X Force I guess is pretty weird with this Cerebrax. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like Cerebrax, but Destiny 5
Yes.
is like the polar opposite of intensity for me.
My God, yes.
Okay, so Destiny of X Volume 5, we read Immortal X-Men number 3, Knights of X number 3, Legion of X number 2, New Mutants 26, Wolverine 22, X-Men Red number 3. And what an issue to end on.
No
right.
kidding.
All right, so Immortal X-Men.
Yeah. Open on a flashback of Destiny. When she first manifests her powers, she starts losing what she calls her human sight, aka like her
That's an interesting way to
eyesight
look at it.
becoming blind. Yeah, it is. It is cool. And so she has like the most clarity that she ever had in her life for her visions, and she writes them down into her diaries, which became a giant plot point throughout the early 2000s. Um, and she's like, I lied a bunch in those, by the way, because I had to obscure the correct interpretations and findings of the truth and blah 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 blah. It's like, okay. Um
Fine.
yeah, right. Sure. But we do see just visually a few of her visions just like illustrated. And you've got one of Krakoa burning, one of a giant statue like the Tri-Sentinel from Genosha, and it's the three heads on it are Xavier, Magneto.
Oh,
and
this second one. Sorry, I was thinking of the first one.
Mm.
The opening page. My bad.
Yeah,
okay.
go for that.
Oh, well, just on the opening page when it shows like her mutant powers first.
Yeah.
Showing up. And she has visions of Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Looks like Phoenix Saga. She sees Krakoa's face in the clouds over a mountain. Mystique's Brotherhood. She sees Shadow King. I don't think that's Amal Farouk.
No, that's Legion. That's how she died. She was killed by she was killed by Shadow King possessing David.
Got you. And then the first X-Men.
Her first appearance was Days of Future Past.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Unless she was, at least her first X-Men appearance, she may, like Mystique, she may have been a Carol Danvers villain first. But anyway, yeah. So those are kind of like the visions that she has that we have already seen. Some, like we kind of know what the deal is and where they're going. She has another page of visions a little later that is full of plot threads that we haven't seen yet
That could be, yeah.
that could be. And I just want to walk through these real quick.
Yo, yeah.
So we've got a vision of Krakoa burning.
Right,
We've
which is what
got
she told Mystique to do if they don't bring her back.
right. We've got a giant statue that kind of looks like the Tri-Sentinel from Genosha, and it had the three heads on it are Xavier, Magneto, and Apocalypse.
Is that who's on the left? I guess you just have to assume.
I guess you just have to assume, yeah.
Because it looks kind of like a Sentinel head. The way it's got like that beanie look.
I can see that, yeah.
But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense with Magneto and Apocalypse.
Right.
Okay. And then
and
this
then
looks like
we've
a
got-
vision from
very soon.
what's
It
gonna
looks like
be
AXE.
Yeah.
We see a bunch of Avengers and a bunch of Eternals and a bunch of X-Men fighting it out. So and then we've got a bunch of mutants with Sinister diamonds on their heads.
in black. In like
black.
X-Force black.
So we can kind of assume that that's Sins of Sinister, another named upcoming crossover, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got Exodus standing on a giant like mesa basically, and a bunch of people worshiping him.
Yeah.
And then we've got Ilyana fully
In her
transformed
Darkchild
into
form.
Darkchild.
Yeah. Oh boy. And then there's
Boy.
another Dark Phoenix. Down on
And
the
then
bottom.
there's Dark Phoenix, yeah. So that's
Oh
terrifying.
man, precogs, because it's like
Right.
it's one of those things where it's like if you don't get it in 616, someone's gonna do it in a what if or an alt reality, and you're like, ah,
Sure.
jeez, show me. Yeah. I guess just right before that, there was Hope on the Quiet Council finding out that she got duped.
Oh yes, the truth, and Xavier finding out, and and Sinister reveling in the fact that he already knew that Mystique was the one who pulled all the strings to get Destiny resurrected, and lied to everybody, etc., etc., and gave the Cerebro helmet to Hope.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. This is such a crazy issue. Sorry. It's funny.
We
So
also, yeah, I think my notes here absolutely over indexed on just like Destiny Vision stuff, and didn't follow the plot at all. So if there's any more plot that you want to go through before we talk about Destiny's
Sure.
sort of flow chart
her
of
this,
potential
her
timeline?
this.
Yes.
So cool. Okay. What? Okay, so skipping over that, basically the only other thing that happens plot wise is Destiny decides to write another diary, and she does it after Mystique knocks out, because she knocked her out in bed, and then Destiny's diaries, she wants to write them privately because Mystique is not in any of these extended futures that she sees.
Right. And she does see, we get a longer look at one of the futures that she sees, which is God Exodus versus Sinister the Gene Corsair, which is wild. And it's through the exploration of that she learns that Sinister has cloned Moira, and all of the shit that they were terrified of Moira for, besides the being a mutant cure person, the fact that if she dies, the timeline erases and everything that they've built has been destroyed. that's still in play because Sinister can do it because he cloned her and is inserting her genes into his own body to have those powers.
So
And now
cool.
Irene knows. And if and
Just this,
all the
I love that she like sits up from her bed. She's like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
Nathaniel cloned her."
yeah,
Oh my gosh, so cool. But yeah, so like this God Exodus is giant, like
God Exodus is wild. Yeah,
asteroid size at minimum.
it
He seems to have the Phoenix Force.
yeah.
Meanwhile, Gene Corsair Sinister is piloting a ship made of Shaw batteries.
Oh my god, so gross. It's just it's just surrounded by like flesh. And it's saying, yeah, that's Sebastian Shaw's cloned tissue that we're using as basically like to break physics and propel the ship because they can just absorb energy and then propel a fucking rocket ship with it.
Massive amounts of kinetic energy stored inside the grown muscle of a long dead man. Just
So
look at that.
gross. So gross.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now that we've talked about the the plot thread, because it ends with Destiny saying Raven's not in any of the futures. Tier.
Right.
Web of Destinies.
Yes, let's
Do you want
talk
to
about this.
talk about this?
Again, she's got a fucking like infographic, just branching path of of potential future realities that she has seen and the things that lead to various events along the way. I will say a lot of them have an event called Nimrod extinction on them, which is, suitably terrifying.
Yeah, Nimrod extinction event,
Yeah.
which oh man. Yeah, so the now branches off into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potential futures. 5 of which end immediately after one event. Krakoa's dissolution, Nimrod extinction event, Cassandra supernova. F off.
Yeah, right. Fuck.
The reign of A or apocalypse, and
Right.
then Legion 12. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
And then I'll just do this short one. I'll let you go off on the other two. There's another one called the Spark Inquisition, which leads to limbic infernality. They're just
Yeah,
they're taking pieces of X stories
yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
adding on other syllables.
Limbo and Inferno, I guess. Were,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so but that future ends at the limbic infernality, which is probably inferno limbo stuff.
Right.
And then there's these other two.
You go for it. I don't have it up right now.
Okay. So the longest one, which is the one that we see pieces of,
Yeah.
starts with Canticle for Talia.
Who is that uh is that Nocturne?
Oh,
Talia
ooh,
Wagner?
Talia
Wagner?
Wagner. That is her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Nocturne. I forgot about Nocturne.
Yeah. I mean, she's alt universe, so she's not
Well, that's just
I would be
because.
really surprised to see her again.
Oh, well, unless we get 616's Nocturne and it's Nightcrawler and this girl from Morocco,
Oh, that could be interesting.
because she's like, we ought to fuck.
Right.
But the Canticle leads to AVX 6, which we haven't had 2 through 5 Avengers versus X-Men, but it's
Right.
fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
We're just
Unless 6 is
yeah.
something else. Which that branches off into 4 possible futures, all of which are 3 of which are extinction events, which are
Right.
Nimrod extinction event, the immolation of Judases, and the Dominion of Orcus, which is scary in itself.
Yes.
The 4th future is the Gene Corsairs, which we know that's where it gets to because we see that in the next page.
Right.
And that branches off into 2 possible futures, which are Unity and the Expanse. Now, the Expanse, I want to say that's what the other 9/10 of the universe is called. That
Oh, interesting.
post the Reckoning War opened
Right.
up.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's called the Expanse.
Okay.
So interesting. Now,
Yeah.
the 8th possible future, which I think is where 616 is going towards,
Okay.
because the first event on this branch is called Judgment Day,
Right.
and AXE's subtitle is Judgment Day.
Right.
So, Judgment Day could potentially go into 4 separate futures. One is another Nimrod extinction event. Nimrod just won't fucking stop.
Right.
The Broken Sword, which
Yeah.
there's all kinds of different swords. Could be any of them. A new Krakoa, which conceptually is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But then the one that has a future is called the Empire of the Red Diamond.
Which makes you think sinister.
Which could be Sins of Sinister with all of the X-Men with diamonds on their foreheads.
Yep.
Which leads to the Storm system. Which we have a voice of soul and her name is
Right.
Storm.
Right.
So, but here's the other thing. I guess for these events, just the fact that they don't go forward means that Sinister died in that event. So,
Interesting. So not the worst.
right. So it's not that like just because we got Judgment Day means we're only going to see a future of Marvel if the Empire of the Red Diamond happens.
Right.
And
right.
we're only going to, and the X-Men are all going to die off if the Storm system happens. It's just
Right.
that Essex is going to die at all of these different named events as we see that that's what happens to him in this future that we get to see a glimpse of
Right.
with God Exodus. Man, just and the fact that Exodus hasn't gotten a cult following, like he and Adam Warlock need to just go hang out.
Oh no. No, please no.
Just it's a whole oh man. Anyway, so
Speaking
yeah,
of Alan
so
Warlock, Guardians 3 was fun.
Guardians 3 was fun. I really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
But yeah, that's the end of this not title, but
Issue.
extinction of agenda. It's like parts 1, 2, and 3 or 4.
Right.
Because the next issue 4 is called Diamonds Are Forever.
That's not terrifying at all.
But we're not going to read. Well,
Sinister,
actually, we are going to read that next week. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fucking Sinister. Because I was thinking Emma.
Oh no.
Oh god. Yeah, Immortal X-Men is very much a Sinister title. I'm stupid.
It's a
Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, 45 minutes, 5 issues. Let's do this.
Yep.
We can do this.
Okay.
Knights of
Knights
X.
of X number 3. Everyone's starting to call Rachel Ascani on Otherworld, which is weird
Right.
because Ascani is a Cable's future, far future thing. And Rachel is Mother Ascani, right? Like
Right.
she did found that religion, and it's certainly a word that works for her, but Weird that they would know it here.
Yes. Agreed.
And then we get um with the Knights of X team that's kind of hanging around with the vampire dudes in Sevalith, come across Death in chains, just kind of hanging out. And there's a cool uh note later that's like, yeah, he just kind of like he can't be bothered. Like he'll take his time. Like Box was like, yeah, uh Death is the only one who really like understands what it means to kind of like bide your time and make things happen to your own benefit, and that's why he's my most terrifying child. And
Yeah.
the hardest horseman to fill, right?
Right.
um
Death must be
and
selfless.
yeah. And so Death translates this story from the grimoire of Apocalypse that Richter's been carrying around, and basically it is the story of Mr. M, Absalon Mercator, um, and how Apocalypse basically recruited him to become the sovereign of this part of Otherworld, which had been kind of like razed, abandoned, emptied out, destroyed, and said like, "Hey, this is a good place for people to leave you alone, and you're welcome to it, but you're gonna need to be involved at some time." And he slipped him the Siege Perilous. So now we know
Where it
where
is.
the MacGuffin that this whole series is about is.
And Mr. M is a reality warper, Omega
Yes,
level
Omega level.
mutant.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's all I know about him.
Yeah.
But like, so when we talked about him, so back, gosh, was it 10 of Swords that they talked about how Mr. M is the head of, because he got name dropped in like House of 10 when
Yeah. Very early. Like
when Sinister
they
was
were
looking at his list of DNA samples.
yeah, and
Mr. M
they
is one of the
well, they
only
were
ones he
going
doesn't
through
have.
the full list of Omega
Omegas.
mutants,
Yeah.
and they had Mr. M, and it was like whereabouts unknown. It's like,
Right.
oh man.
And then 10 of Swords, and it's like, oh, he has a realm
Yeah.
in Otherworld, but he's been off screen. Anytime the leaders of the realms meet, he always sends like a representative or just doesn't show.
Yeah. And he hasn't
And
been
so,
used as a character and has been mostly presumed dead since the early 2000s. He was sort of like a central character in District X, which was kind of like Bishop's cop book during the new X-Men, the Grant Morrison run era, where there's this giant proliferation of mutants, and they have kind of taken a neighborhood in Manhattan, Alphabet City, renamed it Mutant Town, and he's kind of like a key figure in the goings on there. I don't remember it really well, but I think I remember it being pretty good. And then after M Day with the 198 miniseries, he is involved in that, and he gets presumably assassinated, but also like ascends to a higher realm of existence, and has been, this is the first time he's appeared on panels, I think, since then.
yeah, and
Yeah.
oh,
And yeah, so
Shogo's getting his training from Saturnine
mhm.
and Roma.
And the whole issue is kind of just like stuffed with this foreshadowing of like, this is a quest and somebody is going to have to make the ultimate sacrifice. Like in order to blah blah blah, you know. And Richter's like, I'm gonna be the one to be, to sacrifice, and we're kind of afraid for Shogo because comics like to remove people from the unfortunate position of being parents. uh and and instead it's Gambit, and
Yeah.
they're like, you think I'm afraid of dying? I've been death.
Right?
And
Oh, okay. Because I
and
know
he's hold and
you're
he's
not a
holding a
fan.
death card. I'm not a fan, and
You're not a
it's not
fan
even
of him being the Death
it's not
Horseman
even that
plot.
I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of that story. I thought it was a crap story. I usually love Peter Milligan. I thought his run on X-Men was horrendous, and I thought that whole like Blood of Apocalypse story arc was just truly bad. So it's less like, oh, how could they turn Gambit into death, blah, 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 and more like, uh, let's just let's just do our best to forget this ever happened, because then we can, like, it's also such an anticlimax from the 12, because you're trying to build up this, like, oh, this is like the final apocalypse story. We give them a, like, yeah, we executed it bad, but we gave like a real final send off to this like terrifying villain, and gave, this sort of feeling, with some finality. And um and then they, like 4 years later, they're like, oh god, what do we do now? Apocalypse again? Yeah, sure, apocalypse again, fine. And uh it was dreadful. So that's all.
Yeah. Having
So
not read any of that,
yeah.
um, I kind of, I kind of liked it.
Yeah,
Just from a like a referential type thing,
I
for a
mean,
story.
if they're gonna bring it back, this is a good way to do it.
Hmm.
I feel like I've read stories where, like, it's like the dark side transformation is like, oh, I'm becoming death
Right.
again, you've pushed me
Yeah.
too far, and
They've
then that
had
just
that
kind
like
of,
reference. Yeah.
right. And I don't like that as a trope in general. Uh I don't like it for Archangel, for example.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like Archangel's entire thing.
And it wasn't for a long time, and then they're just like, oh, all he does is fly. How do we make him cool? He was really cool when he was blue and
Make him
shot
broody.
things. Yeah, yeah. um
Yeah.
so uh so they just keep dipping back into that well.
You'll
um
notice you'll notice that Wolverine has not had these problems.
Never once. He's also been deaf, and they're like, no, Wolverine is perfectly cool by himself. We don't need to. Right. So
he
when his
he
dark
healing
side comes
factored
out,
that away
he
a
just,
long time ago.
yeah. When he gets pushed too hard and his dark side comes out, that's just regular ass Wolverine. He just goes into a berserker rage and kills a bunch of people without any sort of ancient evil influence. Yeah. But so if you're gonna do it, I feel like this has a chance to be a good way to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually interested to see how that like how permanent is that? Because like Gambit's a big name,
He's a big name,
and to
and
kill him in Otherworld,
right, and you've got, these. I mean, you've got Rogue as part of the X-Men. You've got Destiny hating Gambit right now. Like, uh,
right? He's not small. He's not a small player
no,
in Krakoa X. Like
yeah,
from a like a
and and
banter character
and the X-Men
connection.
franchise in general, like, like Rockslide is a character that, like, fans like, and having his resurrection, basically, like, if he's off the table permanently, as a character, you're like, well, that's a bummer, but I
Right.
understand the franchise. Like, they're not really going to. Um, it's not that the X-Men franchise can't survive without Gambit. It's not like he has that kind of plot armor. It's just more like they don't want to take a character that long standing and popular off the table,
Right.
like, for good. So there's some,
And like,
which makes me think something's up, right?
yeah, I mean, it's one, it's otherworld, it's magic, and like
Right.
he died utilizing the death tarot card.
Right.
He died in an explosion. It only shows a bloody hand. Like, there's
Right.
enough
And he says, I've been death.
lingering.
So, like, is he
Is
gonna
oh god, is
just.
he gonna, his next issue is he's gonna stand up with his black skin and like
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
white hair? Yeah, I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see where that goes. But as far as it, like, to your point, if you were ever to reference the fact that he was the horseman of apocalypse and death, this is at least a useful way to do it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Damn, because Legion of X is not small pickings either. Okay, so Legion of X number 2, it ends with, or the last issue ended with, there was the trickster god from Morocco, that has been brought into existence through belief.
Yes.
And it ran away to Krakoa, and so Morocco has recruited Nightcrawler and his legionnaires to track down the trickster god and bring it back.
Right.
That's one of the prevailing plot threads
Yeah.
going on here. And it ends with that character. God, what is her name?
Mother Righteous.
Mother Righteous. Yeah, Mother Righteous. Seeing Ruth and Legion in the astral plane, and it's just like, hey, do you want me to give you your full potential? She's basically
She's like, I can give
black
you power.
vortexing. Yeah.
She's like, I can give you the power that you want for, what, something. And I'm over here like, how much more fucking power does
Legion really need?
Like,
Yeah,
it seems
seriously.
like he's good.
So from the vision that she gives him, it
Yeah.
seems to be political power,
Sure.
and not like mutant power,
Right.
because it shows him being the head of the circle, the council, quiet
Right.
council, with
Yeah.
old man Nightcrawler in the back, bald, and with a couple of bamps by his side. Blindfold being the new Destiny,
Yes.
which is cool. And then
Yeah.
Krakoa in the back, and him talking his with him saying, to me, my X-Men, but his speech bubble is phoenixy.
Yes.
And he's got a burning Zorn head. It's a very interesting potential future.
That's interesting. We've got a brewing conflict here between the Legionnaires and X-Force. Kurt is saying, like, very distinctly, like, we don't bug our own people, and Sage is at the bar with him and she's like, yeah, what he said.
Absolutely.
And then, like, you learn by the end of the issue, no, they have these things called singing stones. They are indeed bugging their own people. The whole island is surveilled upon. So that is something to watch looking forward. Banshee comes in and everybody's like, oh man, he just got killed by Moira, poor guy.
I know.
And he's like acting all weird and his accent is slipping in and out, and nobody really pays it mind. And then they're like, wait a minute. And it turns out he's being possessed by this mutant switch, the skin jacker, or whatever, and then by the end of the issue, Mother Righteous appears to him, and because he's just all fucked up by all of this, but like regular Banshee back as his own self post
Hmm.
switch, and makes him the offer in his vulnerability, which is terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Banshee is like, I feel weird saying it, but like a watered down Black Bolt. And
Uh-huh.
so so like he had we've seen what the potential of like an extreme
An
Banshee could
Omega
be.
level Banshee, yeah.
Yeah, so that is going to be, I think that's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
And just I'm liking the character design in
me too.
this issue. Like I like Pixie and Lost's costume, Legionnaire
Yeah,
costumes.
yeah, me too.
Kane Marco and without his helmet just kind of looks funny.
Uh-huh.
I like whatever her freaking name, Mother Righteous's
Zen, oh,
design.
Mother Righteous, yeah.
Sen is a really cool design.
Yeah,
Just a lot of original takes on stuff.
yeah.
And Beast being all beasty and like
Yes.
just all of my complaints for the last years about Beast. It is fun to see him be acrobatic and fight again
Totally.
for all of
Yeah.
2 pages.
And so the background on that is Zen, uh makes her way into the X-Force uh compound HQ. So, and that's how we find out that or how the Legionnaires, how Nightcrawler finds out that X-Force is bugging the populace, and she has a quick little duel with Beast, which is a fun fight scene, and also leads to the line where she's like slicing into him, and Sage is like, he could afford to lose a few pounds. He's like, I heard that.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of interesting because Knights of X is very much a like spiritual story. And
Yeah,
so it's just kind of like peppered with action here and there, and that's
right,
never the actual point of the plot.
right.
And that's fun to see.
Yes. Or you mean Legion of X?
Sorry, Legion of, what did I say?
Yeah,
Knights.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
Legion of X.
The other thing, they're closing in on Switch, and this Switch plot is progressing through. They, who knows what Switch's original gender may have been, but they possess Juggernaut for a little bit, and then uh kick Pixie out of the sort of like soul dagger interrogation of Juggernaut, and there is some magic stuff going on, and so we're kind of um we're figuring some things out here.
Yeah.
And the plot with the smoke mutant guy ends. He kind of like fully comes to grips with the fact that he killed his wife, and he's sad.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yep.
Oh, next week.
um
In Doc 7. Okay, number 4 is New
New
Mutants.
Mutants
Issue
26.
20. Yes, 26. Uh,
So the last issue, New Mutants, ended off with the team. And so Ilyana confronts Sim, who had basically a mace that destroyed her her soul sword. Without that, she doesn't have uh, control over Limbo anymore. She also doesn't have control over her stepping discs, and so she's unable to teleport them out of Limbo. So they're wandering along through Limbo in the snow, and they come across
And
a
Madeline
horde
is
of
not
demons.
cold.
Madeline is yeah, dressed in nothing, doing fine. Good observation. Um,
Well, it was just weird because none of them are cold.
that's true.
I would
Yeah,
not expect Rain to be cold because she just goes furry. It's fine.
right.
But
Yeah,
like Magic, her entire midriff is exposed.
right,
Danny's just skin tight
right.
spandex, and then Madeline's in a bikini and boots and a cape. Like,
It's amazing what telekinesis can do to keep warm around you or something.
yeah, I guess.
um, yeah. So they're wandering along in the snow, and they come across a bunch of demons attacking a sort of big old building, and on top of the building, fighting them off, is old woman Ilyana with a
Yeah,
techno organic arm holding a warlock sword and a big ass gun.
right. Odd, but hey,
Odd.
I don't know. I don't know what to make out of this issue. If I'm real honest,
Yeah.
I get that time works
It's
weird in Limbo.
time works weird in limbo. That's really the main thing. Like really, really weird.
Yeah, and so that old woman Ilyana defeats all the demons that are at the gate, all the techno organic demons that are at the
Yeah,
gate.
sorry. Yes, they are techno organically. And that's a long standing thing that, like preceded Inferno is Sim and another uh God, oh God, I just thought of the worst pun. Please. I guess I have to say it now. If Sim is techno organic, does that mean he has a SIM card? Um, so okay, please Nips, delete that forever.
I'm
Delete my
not deleting
shame.
it out of the VOD, but how dare you,
Yeah,
sir?
I know. I'm sorry.
Ew. All right.
Um, so Sim and this other demon Nister, who were the main antagonists for Inferno, they became technically techno-organically infected after the New Mutants came to Limbo in defense of Ileana one time, and
Oh,
Warlock touched something, spread some TO virus, and Sim and Nister got it. So this is like a long standing
hmm.
thing that in Limbo for the demons to also be techno organic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she fights them off, and then the young ones show up, and she's like, "Hey, come on in." And like I was
Yeah.
as I was reading, like they have their catch up conversations and references to what happened to the rest of them over the time that they're there, yada 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 yada. I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, if anyone else was the old lady version, this conversation would have taken so much longer.
Yeah.
But Magic is so straight to the
She's
point.
just no bullshit. Yeah. It's like, wow, you're me. How are you? What's nope, just like, hey.
Yeah. Hey, I remember this. Okay, so come on in.
Yep. We
Um.
get a cool sort of text page conversation between young Magic and Madeline, and kind of going through again um why give ownership of Limbo, regency of
mm,
Limbo to Madeline. And it's basically like, you've been uh you've had men sort of like deciding your life for you forever. Sinister, Cyclops, Havoc. You exist in an orbit that resentfully circuits them, or circles them. um and and it reminds her of her own life with Belasco, etc., manipulating her. And she's like, I need my freedom from this, you need your freedom from your past. This is good for both of us, and I've put things into the contract that I'm sure you'll be able to break, but for the meantime you won't be able to attack us from here. So cool. Again, I know I mentioned this last week, but this is such a outrageous thing to do. Just put this recently resurrected supervillain in the seat of power where she could perform her worst, you know, villainous scheme, just
It's a
reenact it
whole hell
completely.
dimension that
Yeah,
like it's its own separate dimension, so it can have its own sorcerer supreme.
right.
It's one of the
And
13 hells.
yeah, and to just like give that to her is such a horrible idea on its face that I'm glad they went over and above to try and explain it.
Right.
And in a way that by the end of it, you're like, okay, I might not buy into the
I don't support it, but I get it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be interesting. I hope it's not
Yeah.
short lived.
And we saw all of those premonitions of Dark Child stuff in
Right.
Immortal X-Men, so you gotta watch out for that because that was also a big part of Inferno, right? Was
Yeah.
the one side of the plot was um Madeline, the Madeline plot finally like coming to a head and her trying to bring Limbo to Earth. But the other side of it was Magic finally like fully being taken over by the Dark Child persona. So these seem to be connected, and that's one of the sort of like terrifying visions uh, that Destiny had. So something to keep an eye on, I suppose. Um, let's see what else. I just kind of like the banter between young Ileana and old Ileana. Like you said, very no nonsense, and they figure their shit out really well.
Um,
Uh,
I mean, at the end of it,
yeah,
we're yeah. What's her face? Old Ileana wins by taking out Sim's card, and
oh, no, yeah, has a final face off with Sim and defeats him, and
so
yeah,
young
takes out
Ileana gets a
the
new
Sim
sword.
card, and yeah, the core of Sim, I suppose it's called,
Yeah,
and uses
uses
that.
Sim's core and makes a new sword,
Yeah,
which is crazy because Ileana's had the same soul sword for so long,
right.
and
And
now she's got a new one.
it's not just that she's had the same soul sword. That soul sword has been passed along from her to Kitty Pride, and then to Amanda Sefton, and then was stolen by uh, Margali Zardos. Blah 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 blah. It's been like a major thing.
And then in the brand new run of New Mutants, they destroy it in a page.
Yeah.
Yep. But now she has a new sword, powered by
Yeah.
Sim.
Yes. And it is black instead of white.
And then she's like, "Cool, I'm back." And then that the story basically ends. And then there's a couple
Yeah.
pages more of this like child's
Storybook
tale
flashback. Yeah. Or yeah.
retelling of Ileana in Limbo as a child.
Yeah. Not much to like that really needs
Right. Well,
recapping
so
or
are they telling this because it's never been put onto page?
I think so, yeah. I think it's never really fully been like told with this level of um fidelity. It's always been kind of it I feel like I'm not sure. Because I this is one of the things that I wanted to go back and read like how the hell did Ileana become magic, and because she was taken to Limbo initially in I want to say an issue of X-Men, um like little kid Ileana,
Right.
6 or 7 years old or whatever, and then she gets lost and captured there, mostly as a way to torture Colossus, because it's Claremont's fucking favorite thing to do is just make life exponentially shittier for Colossus all the time. And and then they eventually, brought her back as a character in New Mutants, and she's aged up to a teenager, and you see bits and snippets of what happened. But I think that this is just filling in details that didn't need to be filled in necessarily.
Okay.
Just like
Oh yeah, I was just
this is
curious.
all stuff that you could kind of like intuit.
Right. It felt
This was all implied pretty well. Maybe just like to fill you in, if to like the nature and depth of her trauma in Limbo, as if growing up in hell wasn't enough. Um, just for people who never read that initial New Mutants story, while
okay.
also treading new ground, but it's not like it's doesn't really seem to be doing anything.
Got you. Yeah, I was just curious because I was like, why? Why? Like, I thought this was a retelling, and it didn't make sense to me. But
Right. And
literally,
they
while we
they
were
do,
recording, I was like, oh wait, maybe it never got shown.
right, yes. And they do match the art style of
Oh,
like
of the original.
80s
Yeah.
comics pretty well.
Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
So,
Wolverine 22.
Wolverine 22, I can sum up in like 2 sentences if you want me to.
Do it. Yeah, yeah.
Wolverine, Deadpool get out. They fight the the Danger Cerebro bot, and
Yeah.
Blind Owl drives a car, and it ends with them being told that Danger is at the Westchester school.
At the school. Yep. The original
It's
X-Men.
literally an escape issue.
Yep. That's it.
But the Seedry are at the X Mansion. So,
Right.
well, I really
Or-
hope they don't just drop that.
I read ahead a little bit because we were recording so late this week. I don't know whether you're going to be. They address it.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take addressing. That's better than just having a completely separate mansion that doesn't have a Seedry hive.
Yeah. Address might be a strong of a word. Okay. Deadpool addresses it.
Oh. Perfect. Okay. I'll take that. I will absolutely
Okay.
take that. Cool. Yeah, so that's Wolverine 22.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything major that feels worth
No.
talking about in Wolverine
No.
for 22 issues.
No.
It's just Wolverine doing Wolverine things, like
just
surfing with an
Wolverine doing
adamantium surfboard.
Yeah,
So stupid.
his classic favorite
His
pastime,
go-to
his
hobby
that
since
he's always
1923.
loved. Right. What the hell is wrong with you? You don't remember how much Wolverine loves surfing. You're not a real
Ridiculous. But anyway, read it if you want, viewers and listeners, but
Sure.
I don't recommend it. X-Men
fan. Well,
Red,
it's just
though.
like, yeah, X-Men Red's great. It's not even like we're giving recommendations or not giving recommendations. I feel like listeners know that we come to this from a place of sickness, and we, will read all of this, regardless of whether we expect it to be good, whether we're enjoying it. That this is not. I mean, we enjoy reading good stories. We're happy when they come about, but that's not what we're really doing here. And as such, this isn't really a review show. This isn't a podcast where we, like the main point of it isn't to say this was great. Go
Right.
buy and read.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, no, it's just like, all right, we're keeping ourselves up to speed on what's going on.
Yeah, basically. Unless there is a title that we really want people to read.
Well,
At least for
I mean,
me.
if something's great, then like uh
Like
I
Sandman.
I want to sing its praises. Yeah, and I want to, give it its flowers. Like
Yeah.
I like I said, I appreciate the good stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so
X-Men Red?
X Red 3. The
Yeah.
cover for X Red 3
Yes.
has Tarn gripping Magneto by the helmet and Magneto getting all over the place
Yeah.
the way that Tarn does. And that's scary. Okay, so
All of his flesh and stuff just pouring
yeah.
away, and eyes and such.
So the
Um
issue starts
yeah.
with bringing Cable back.
Yep.
And I'm a little sad because his arm is back to the metal arm instead of the like super
Uh-huh.
cool Tron glowy TO arm that he had
Yeah.
when before he died. But whatever, it's fine.
And then Thunderbird walks in on the resurrection and, yeah, basically talks some shit, and he's like, Are you ready to do this? Cable turns on his stealth arm so that to shield them away from all surveillance, including telepathic surveillance, and they get down to business along with, turns out, Manifold. And this is their secret group that is like, all right, we know Abigail Brand is up to some bullshit. um some of us are going to stay on the inside and pretend, it seems like Cable is. I really like this, by the way, because I don't like the idea that Cable doesn't see into Brand and
Right.
is following her along, like, unquestioningly and loyally. Like, he has no reason to be loyal to her, and he is too fucking smart and too experienced
Yeah.
to just like let this scheming shit go by. So yeah, so
Agreed.
we have a
Agreed.
full on, like, counter conspiracy, a full on group who is meeting in secret to basically keep tabs on Brand, and that's cool.
Yeah. See.
And it's
Oh man.
and it's three great characters. It's Cable, it's John Proudstore. Despite their differences, they hash it out again over James, and how much John resents the fact that Cable turned him into a soldier. Um, and and Manifold, who is also fucking great. And they're like, all right, we're meeting, we're talking. What do we do? They don't really come back to this in this issue, but I'm really stoked to see where this goes.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Super tangent. I've decided
Yes.
that I want to do a line on my merch store of different characters from comics was right.
Uh-huh.
Like Magneto was right, Nick Fury was right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I want to do a Brand was right.
Ooh. That's a hard sell.
And well, dude, well, okay, because she's getting pretty bad, but she so far has been correct until this issue. But like all her stuff in how she's been dealing with the Kree Skrull Empire and stuff, it's like
Oh,
super schemy and super like,
yeah,
like just backdoor channels and shit. And she's oh man,
totally.
like she's the space Nick Fury, even though Nick Fury is the man on the wall. So like
Right. Even though Nick Fury is also the space Nick Fury, she is the space Nick Fury.
yeah, and so I'm gonna put like a little like insignia or logo thing on the top of all. Like I'll have like a helmet for Magneto.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have an eye patch for Nick Fury, and for Brand, it's gonna be these green shades that she has all the time.
nice.
Anyway, random fact for you. Moving on.
Moving on. The rest of this issue is basically setting up, foregrounding the challenges against Tarn the Uncaring, who holds the seat of loss in the Great Ring of Urako.
Yeah,
And
Brand is
Brand
like I need a
has,
man on the inside.
yes, and she's been pumping up in she's been manipulating Vulcan, which is terrifying, and pumping him up to say, like, you want the adoration of people again, you want a seat of political power again. Everyone on Araco hates Tarn. If you kill this guy, not only will you have a seat, you will be beloved by the people. And Storm's like, that's fucking true. Like everybody does hate this guy. You kill him, you will be loved. And um and she stomps off like pissed off. Um and
Ooh.
yeah.
Sorry. I was flipping through because I was following
Yeah.
you along referentially,
Yeah.
and then you have this letter memo from Mentalo.
Yeah, yeah, go after that Mentalo who is has been part of organizationally part of Sword,
Yeah, like the
telepath on
PsyOps
the team.
division.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Mentalo has okay. One more step back. Vulcan hasn't died since all of his ridiculousness with like War of Kings, Realm of Kings, all that
Yeah.
ridiculous stuff. So like he's been alive. He's just
All the
been
blanks of
lost.
kings. Yeah.
Yeah. And shit's been done to him, and we've seen that referentially in some older issues of X at the beginning of the Krakoa titles.
Right.
And so Mentalo does a scan at the at the request of Brand, does a scan of Vulcan to see what's going on in his head, where is he at, and he's like, um I'm scared. So, and
Yeah.
like he describes what's going on in Vulcan's head as
Yes.
a cartoon, and
Yeah.
specifically if you in cartoons and like Looney Tunes, when
Yeah.
Wile E.
This is
Coyote
uh-huh.
paints a tunnel on a wall, and then the characters just run through the wall,
Yeah.
and run and experience the painting. That's
Yeah.
what we're
And
being given from Vulcan.
yes.
Everything we've seen from Vulcan is that painting. It is
Yeah.
not his
They've
reality.
they've constructed something fake. And this is the person that we're all dealing with. And there's something much more deeply fucked up going on in Vulcan in reality that is being hidden from all of us and from him too.
Yeah. And Vulcan has this like whole power complex about how like since he never died, he should still be the emperor of the Shi'ar.
Yeah.
And he's also a Summers brother, so like that just has weight
Yeah.
in the
On
grand scheme
Krakoa.
of all
Yeah.
things mutants, and on Krakoa. And so he has this like superiority complex,
Yep.
and that kind of whenever that gets challenged, that's what starts eating away at that painting.
Yes.
And but Brand has got it into his head that if he wants to be worshipped, he should take the seat of loss from Tarn.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while that conversation is happening, the Brotherhood, who is Storm, Fisher King, Roberto,
Sunspot.
and Magneto, are
Yeah.
talking, and they're like, and Roberto's like, "Hey, Magneto, what if
Yeah.
you took the seat of loss?" And Magneto's like,
Yeah.
"No,
Yeah.
stop. I wanna live a happy life. I wanna chill." And Roberto's just like, "Yeah, I don't believe you. I don't believe
Yeah.
you at all." Oh man, I'm so excited for this, Roberto, because like
Right. I love this Roberto.
he's a smart guy. Like
He's a very power aware guy. He's lived in and around power his whole life. He knows how it moves and he knows how to push it. I mean his father was a businessman who was a member of the Hellfire Club, right? Like he comes from that sort of background.
right.
And so he can be a dumbass and he can be ridiculous, but he knows how to manipulate and move things, and it is a joy to watch.
Yeah, and that's been pretty consistent because like when he
Yeah.
he had like the AIM Avengers, and
Right.
then he was on like Hickman's Avengers before that, and like
Right.
he's been that like playboy manipulative genius that
Yeah.
you just don't see from a lot of characters, and he's
Right.
so fun. And the fact that he's kind of manipulating Magneto here is
Yes.
the bossest play I've ever seen.
But this isn't even his last manipulation of
No,
the issue.
no.
And it's not even his coolest manipulation of the issue. So we continue on and we see the challenge between Tarn and Vulcan, and basically it starts
Everyone
off
shows
with
up.
yeah, everyone shows up, and it starts with they turn each other's powers off because Tarn is Omega level gene manipulator, so he turns off Vulcan's X gene, and Vulcan is an Omega level energy manipulator, so he turns off Tarn's ability to manipulate genes, or like the energy that he uses to do so, basically. And so so they're just sitting there powerless, and Vulcan's like, so I win, right? And Tarn just fucking beats him to death with his hands.
Tarn's like, well, do you fight,
Yeah.
bro?
Yeah.
Dude, Tarn just manhandles him.
Yeah.
I love that he's like, you know what? While they're like trading blows, Tarn's like, you know what sets me apart from you? Face tentacles. And he just like wraps his little tentacle things around Vulcan's arm, just twists it, fucking gives him a haymaker, knocks him out, breaks his arms, and just pummels him into the ground. And Brand is like, fuck.
Yeah. And then floating down from the sky is Magneto, and he's doing the thing, you know, that always looks really cool, where he's got the helmet like floating next to him on the magnetic
Right.
powers, and it looks all he does this a lot, and it looks so dope. And he does the thing that Roberto, you know, was talking him into doing, and issues the challenge. And meanwhile, Berto's in the stands
With
sitting
Iska.
next to Iska the Unbeaten.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, he's trying to flirt with her because that's who he is and what he does. And then they're talking about the match, and he says, "I tell you what, I'll bet you Tarn wins." Because Iska's mutant power is that she cannot lose. And
Right.
she is so pissed because she can't lose the bet, which means he's just manipulated her powers into deciding the outcome of this challenge.
I
She can
think so. Right? Like, oh my gosh. It's Roberto just manipulated that entire conversation, because
the whole
while they're watching
manipulated.
Tarn and Vulcan fight and sees that they turn each other's powers off, Roberto's like, would that work on you? And she's like, you're ridiculous. I don't have my weapon is I cannot be beaten. There's no way that would work. And he's like, yeah, you know what's funny? I can't be beaten either. It's kind of a cool thing. Even when I lose. And she's like, what are you talking about? How do you lose without losing? Or like whatever. Yeah, how can you lose without losing? And he's like, well, we'll see. And then Magneto shows up and he's like, excellent. Oh my gosh. And then Iska's like analyzing the battle, and she's just like, oh, Tarn's powers are returning. He's just gonna stall until his powers are back, and blah blah blah. And Roberto's just like, you're right. Huh. I bet you Tarn wins. and Iska just gets this look on her face of just like, excuse?
Just like she's furious because it's the greatest insult possible. Like she's
Ugh.
So do you want to give the breakdown of the Magneto Tarn fight?
Okay, yeah. So Iska's like, how dare you? And then she snaps his neck. So Let's not leave that hanging because that happens first.
No.
So because Izuka's like, how dare you? I'll carry you where you stand. I can't lose. And he's like, ha, that's how you lose without losing. And then she just cracks his neck and he's dead. And you're like, oh, holy shit. And then and Storm is like, what the hell are you doing? I'll strike you down where you stand. And she is just like, I can't lose. You don't understand. I can't lose. And then it shows the fight and and Tarn and they're both like, huh, I wonder what happened there. And Tarn is like, yeah, it's really weird. Oh, hey, look, my powers are back. You want to do this? And then Magneto's like, sure, let's do this. And so he just drops his helmet onto Tarn's head.
Your powers are psychic, right?
They're psychokinetic.
Yeah, you psychically manipulate people's genes. Well,
interesting. My helmet blocks mental powers. Yeah. And it's made of metal.
Also, incidentally, it happens to be made of metal.
Goodbye, Tarn. This blood on my hand,
head.
I accept.
Just like a grape. Just absolutely.
And Tarn's just like, no, not like this. Please, I yeet. And then just done. And Magneto's floating over him and he just says, and I accept what comes with it. Magneto sits in the seat of loss.
Yeah.
Such a baller ass move. Yo, so like
dope. What an issue. Yeah.
What an issue. Just dude, the Brotherhood. Oh God. Here's the thing. Now that we have seen, even just in X-Men Red, we have seen Storm, we have seen Magneto, and we have seen the genius that is Roberto. I need to see Fisher King step up. I want to see what he does. I want to see everything about Fisher King. He's such a village elder type, but it's more than that. More than that.
Totally.
Gimme.
All right. And that brings us to the end of Destiny 5. Is that a podcast?
That brings us to the end of Destiny 5. So Destiny 7. So Destiny 6 and 7, so we're going to read on the next pod. And after 7, we'll be able to read AXE, Judgment Day.
Yes. Stoked.
Oh my God, it's going to be a wild next 2 weeks. So Destiny 6 is going to be X-Red 4, Wolverine 23, X-Force 29, New Mutants 27, Marauders 4, X-Men 12. So it's only 6. And then Destiny of X Volume 7 is the Hellfire Gala issues.
Yes.
Immortal number 4, New Mutants 28, Knights of X 4, Legion of X 3. And that'll get us to not only where Dimitri said we should be, which is Immortal and X-Red 4.
Yes.
But that gets us to where commercially all of the titles should probably have us in order to be ready for AXE.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be wild. All right. In the interest of sports games, let's put the outro music here.
Sounds great.
And let's let you get back over there, and I'm going to have some dinner, and then I'm going to play some video games.
Sounds great.
All right, dude.
All right.
GG's.
Have a good one. GG's.
Take it easy.
You too. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah. Recordings.
Okay. All right, guys. That was fun. Saving, just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm saving this pod. Yeah. And that's it. I'm pretty sure you guys can still hear me. So yeah, I'm gonna run away, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. We're gonna be doing. I think it's time for a model kit. We might do a model kit. We'll see. Anyway, thank you all for being here. For those of you who are, and I will catch you guys next time. Okay, bye.